Sanje Jodon Zojin Jono La Jangchub Dano Chapsumje Dag Chishe Jebe Sonamje Rola Benja Sanje Draba Jo Sanje Jodon Zojin Jono La Jangchub Dano Chapsumje Dag Chishe Jebe Sonam Rola Benja Sanje Draba Jo Sanje Chudon Soji Jono La Shancha Pata Dana Chasum Shi Daga Chishi Jibe Sonam Ji Rola Benja Sanji Drabasho. Good morning again.
Good morning, Geshe.
Everyone have some tea, coffee, juice, water, whiskey. Okay, it's no need whiskey in the morning. Okay, now first we do the meditation as usual to calm our body. You know, maybe we don't much feel in meditation, because we do just very short time. Once a week, doesn't much see that you just slowly, most important, you need to very clear and very stable. This is very important whenever you do meditation. You try to like meditation, you just maybe half sleeping, half wake up. That doesn't work. Therefore, you just very clear and like stable. You can short time. Stop again, stop again. This is like the technique, okay? It's always very important. I don't want to show the gaping want to want to watch it.
Yeah, so most important thing is to not fall under the mental thinking and mental excitement.
Oh, Tamsi, your voice very far away. I don't know.
Go there. Oh, go there.
Oh, it's good, yeah.
Okay, so the most important thing is to not fall under the mental thinking and mental excitement. So those two are the most, the biggest, disadvantage of meditating on karma abiding. So mental thinking is like where you feel very drowsy or sleepy, like feeling, and you're kind of calm down, but you're kind of feeling drowsy or sleepy, and you feel like you are meditating on, but that's not a real calm abiding.
And it gave said that Lela or can just some sure to do, but the Lela was Hakota, Shiwadan Gomni Nordom Maboy.
So many people make mistake, with the mental thinking and meditation, so that's not a meditation when you're having that mental thinking. But mental excitement is very easy, right? We all can understand or recognize very easily.
Cheda and Shive, Shene Gombicala Pentushara, Manzobena, Gonda Pen Nakunalaya, and it tangle Rumoya Tago Yona, and it Tashima Sewa Gores, Tapas, you to Sewa George. And the Shima Jing La Pata Tembo Gores at the Tashini Chadayores. And it
so example of proper meditation on karma abiding without mental thinking and mental excitement is like looking at a portrait in a dark room. When you're inside a dark room, when you're looking at a portrait, you have to have a lamp which has to be clear for you to be able to see the portrait or picture clearly, and also the lamp that you are holding with your hand should not fidget it or move around. If you move around, then you will not see it very clearly. So that like that. So it has to be clear and stable.
Okay. Sheda ta nima taba shumo ta suso namju shene gombe miba kare chiga na taran kala ya miba de cheje ya miba shondori shori kala shorba ta hakko wachi ya tuki ya shondori shorba tuki ngando kamache gomo ida.
So no need to talk about a lot. Every day we've been talking this, so you already know. Anyway, whatever object of the karma abiding that you've been using, you use that one same all the time, and you might lose the object, but bring it back. If you lose it, bring it back again. So do like that, and keep on doing that, and just try to have a stable focus on the object as long as possible. But if you lose it, then bring it back again. Just understand that you lost it, and then you don't just get distracted for a long time, but understand that you have lost your object, and then bring it back quickly. So like that, we can do now meditation on karma abiding for about 10 minutes. And so at the time when you're doing meditation, don't count the malas or the rosary, or recite mantras like that. Because if you do that, then your mind will be distracted towards that. And you shouldn't recite mantras verbally when you're doing meditation. Because your mind can go towards that again also.
Okay.
And also you should not think that I'm not going to think that. If you think I'm not going to think that, then you're going to think more on that. So like for example, say, I'm not going to think about what I'm going to do today this afternoon, or I'm not going to think about what I did yesterday. If you think like that, then you're going to think more about that.
And I don't motor tango motor subsidy tango yo mishambala shumani mishambara mashu checo telesamdana motors yabutan to mare tele social lamka yabo jitani dona and kotata tango tendo go.
Like when you're driving, if you keep thinking, I have to drive very carefully, I should not hit anybody, like that, then you're not going to be driving properly. Instead, if you just keep, proper focus on the road where you're going towards, then you will be driving properly.
Okay. 제당한도 변나 Sera Jey 남주 변나 시당 초점 침벌라 인제 됐다 랍자레스 간제 아니 잡아서 가리 제초로 가리 제초 말했어 대갑라야 아니 바 아니 꼭가와까라 꼭딱 간지 누지 방에 대와 마연바 아니 칸이 지금 만나다 지금 나들이 나대고도 강한 삼샤네야 년고 남주들이 룩소들이 요래 다 나지게 변나 람름 된리고 송주나 대고 갑라야 아니 야보 년고 그랬어 아니 지금 라반인 팀원선대와도 야만 콜로코다 시다도 야포레다야나 대갑라 암조 야보 마냐나 셈텔 파양도는 두강한 잠샤고 그랬어 모두 송을.
So in Sera Jey Monastery, we have an occasion where the disciplinarian, we'll talk about the disciplinaries. So that's of course like an advice, to all the monks. So at that time, all the monks will be advised, to just listen, like not leaning back towards the wall or to the pillar, and not reciting any mantras or counting malas and like that. Should not do that. You should always only listen. Just like that. Also, when you're receiving any teachings, when you're listening to the teachings and a Lam-rim teaching, then you should not be counting malas or spinning the prayer wheels and like that. Of course, those things are good to do, but at the time when you're listening to the teaching, they can become distraction. Therefore, you should not do that. Instead, only listen, to the teaching when you're listening to the teachings like Lam-rim and so forth. And so if it's just like a transmission, then you don't have to understand everything. You can just hear it. As long as you hear, and you have received the transmission. But whereas like in initiation, when you're receiving initiation of such and such deity, where you will be empowered to do the practice of that deity, then you have to receive the initiation properly. Like at the time when the guru tells you to do visualize this, visualize that, think you're in here, think you're there, and you're facing this direction, that direction. You have to follow all those instructions properly. If you don't do that, then you don't receive the initiation. So like in the initiation, you will be initiated, to go into the mandala of the deity, and then he says, so now you're in the eastern door. So then you have to think that you are in the eastern door. If you don't think that, then you don't receive. And now you receive this initiation. You'll be you have to imagine you're being poured, with the initiating water and like that. So you have to think that all these the instructions or the advices that you're given, you have to follow that properly.
And 하나지가 돈바로 시어 qabla 돈바데 베나 다 특타마 조바다님도 지나서절 돈바 토소님 문반 제스가 대 이지문지 삼고만 지금 돈바더니 고 토금도 와.
And so if you don't do that, then you don't receive the initiation. So, and also same with the receiving vows, like when you're taking a vows, like Bodhisattva or Tantric or the individual liberation vow, then at that time, the Guru will say, okay, now you have to think that you have received the vow. So, same with like when you're taking the 8 minor precept, you have to think that you have received the vow. If you don't think that, then you don't receive the vow.
오다 데코 받는 게 제대 개마다 데카 간데 가지 슈코랑 게단 로당을 오래 가지 잘라카리나 소소서 내가 지하를 직 뒷바라지 로당절 다 뒤소나 버려.
And so there's no like logical reason to prove that if you think you receive, if you don't think you don't receive, there's no logical reason to prove that. But that's how things are, So that's like in the tantric practice, you have to just follow that. It's like that's how things work, and you just have to understand or believe that that's how it works. So you just go in that way. You don't have to like look for the reason how it works and so forth.
칼라사는 가르쳐 조자가서 그것도 리바다 개요 말까지 칼라사에도 그로 조자 그 가나 말로잖아 그 조야 가요 그래. 간지 데네지면 무슨 그것도 리바다 개요 말아.
So if you eat, you fill the stomach. If you feel, so what is the reason that if you eat you lose? There's no reason, right? If you eat, you fill the stomach. Yeah, that's how it works. The reason you eat is because to fill your stomach.
오케이 다 모시는 거지. 오케이 당도야 아니 신이한테 공부한다 까마추에 당인데 담보 공부가라야 담보 부분 정도에서 공대 코로나가 다 코로나가 니바 코로나지야 선말 흘려용 평교들 아니 되네 이 등니바 되면 걸 아니 장소 신의 남주 담 바가래 좀 다라 갈삼삼 되셔와.
Okay, now we're going to start the meditation. So first, ring, you can on the breath. So that is very important to meditate on your breath. It has some kind of power, to calm you. So that will help to calm your mind. And then the second ring, then you start your calm abiding meditation. Whatever object that you have chosen, use that object, to focus as stably as possible. And if you forget it, bring it back and do that. So we're going to do that for about 10 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Good, everyone's meditation good? Okay, now after, also we do some meditation to the, mind trainings, 7-point mind training. We already done. First, you can visualization and your guru in front of you to blessing you have, very successful, your mind training practice. Then, that impermanent and, think a little bit that. Then the real and the bodhicitta, the ultimate bodhicitta and the compassion bodhicitta. However you have something, understand, think that. And then third is any worst condition, it become transfer for the practice. The fifth one is you practice to until you die or whole your life, right? Then fifth one is what? Then how you say
The measure.
a measure of the if you get the mind training or not. The sixth one is the how you call this? Karo,
Commitment.
commitment, right? We already in the commitment. Enter that, and however you have some understand, go to step little bit, like 5 minutes, okay? And I'm not explaining for one by one. Otherwise, all times go that way. Okay, how much you have some understand each one, like spend like 5 minutes. Okay, do you have enough time? Okay, I hope so, Therefore, meditation, we just step by step, Do you see the small birds, they collect the really, they just mouth, collect the small dirt, they make the nest. Do you know that some birds can do outside? Therefore, just they're killing one by one, small by small. Therefore, we think, oh, it's too small, it doesn't make sense. But, just slow by slow by step by step, we can walk without stop. Also, I'll give the example, when we have cold water, big pot, small gas, we put small fire under that, then slowly become, warm. Exactly the same, when we practice, we pray, meditation, it's all the positive action. The positive action or positive, how you say, positive action and negative action, or positive karma or negative karma, like contradict each other. If you have like hot and cold, the cold weather come from the Canada, then New England, today it's very like 60, 70s. Tomorrow some cold one from Canada, then weather will come very down. Like that. Therefore, if we have more positive action, then we clear more positive karma. The negative action, negative karma will just go away. Exactly when when we have go to we switch on the light on the room, we think they just completely done. It's not like that. They another example. There's a sun come from sun to here. There's a 8 minutes, right? But we think when we see sun's here, we think like that. But it's really the science they're really checking. That takes 8 minutes, like that. The slowly, exactly the same. I think maybe the inside the room also, we switch on the light. We think that dogs go just immediately, but maybe between there also takes time. The more lights come in, the dogs go away. Exactly the same. When we have more positive action, positive karma, then the negative karma, negative action will go slowly go away. Okay? Okay. Now I finish my English one, okay?
So we've been discussing about the 18 commitments of the mind training, right?
식당기 다 로종 로 야보 장여와나 단도 파지 연구 말이 나 단도 간지 직대 출력도 밀로 가rel은 점바나 간지 소소 좀 송거원들이 여러와.
Generally, if you have practiced the mind training well, then this would not occur. But there are things that help us to think about to have our mind training practice proper.
배난 잠을래 약급지야 안에 직 타스 보야보 저여발라 때려 춤 안에 춤도 야보소나 안에 야보 연구 여러봐.
So like discipline or rule is very important, right? Like in the country, if the country is if the country wants to be good, then it has to have a good rules and have to have the people follow those rules, and then the country will be good, right?
배치하나 다 사상배나 자 지나서배나 초가 제면을 보지 봐나. 초가 제면이 냠도 요나 tel라다 수수 간제 담승 소거리 여러봐. 대니자가 야보 소마이나 아니 간제 남이 아니 녀담에 봐 야보 연거로 봐. 아니 지금서나 지금 마서나야 녀로 연거로 봐.
And even among the spouses, husband and wife, there is a kind of a moral discipline, right? Morality, to follow, or discipline, and the commitments, for each other. If you follow those properly, then you will be very harmonious with each other. If you don't follow those morals or the commitments, and if you break any of those, then you'll get into a fight, and there'll be no harmony, in the relationship.
제단 직대행기 배낭 알아서 남주 신속은 날아야 아니 지금 간제 신점당 아니 시대가 도와지거나 나 될 간제 지금 춤새거 나면도 간제 담석지 고고도 와.
And so, in general, even in like the external the world, we in the mundane life, if we want to have a peaceful life, then we have to have the rules or the moral disciplines and have to follow those rules properly, right?
어데 다 너도 다음 뺄 때는 것도 전화 다 하고 그래. 배는 것도 나사지 해왔지. 아니 멤베게 매테 매 때와 주보면 맞잖아. 칼란도서 사고다. 아니 직다 간지 멤버가 있는 맞지. 람도 강 제와도 채나 다 간지 아니 매 되게 팬도 많이 온 거예요. 봐.
And so in general, like when we talk about the moral discipline or commitment, it's talking about the way we do things properly, right? If you do things properly, then you will get the result. Like even when you're taking a medication, or the doctor have given you a prescription or advised you to do take the medication in a certain way. So if you follow that advice, then the medication will be effective. It will help you.
어제 두 사람들 제자당 하고 아니 남배 주 냠내 제발 로종 제발 때네 레버드 고고요나 아니 텔라지 간제 야무나 켈레 야무나 담식 송거 같은데 따다치나 레버드 용 거래 레버드 고와지 담식 마도나 아니 레버드 용 말아.
So like that, in practicing Dharma, also there these moral disciplines, or the commitments to follow. So if you follow these commitments and moral disciplines properly, then you will get the result, of those Dharma practice. If you don't follow those commitments properly, then no matter how much practice you do, you will not get the results.
쟁도 참아 망아체 레버드 고와지 레버드 용하게 주속 되라 아니 깔레지 아마다 왔다 야만나 주속도 드비하게 너버메 같다. 야는 수수고 아니 지가 든더메 같은 되게 차로요. 봐 대전에 가도 다 단답을 하대.
So we want to have good result from our practice, but we are not creating all this group of causes and conditions that is required, to have those proper results. And so the reason why we're not able to have the results that we want is because we are not able to create all those group of causes and conditions.
근데 결혼서 다 잡로도 와야 메토드라 저도 주주들의 여와야나 아니 메토드 야보 용활라야 담보 메토드 코나 껴메 메지 다대 껴메 왔다 나 껴는데 마요와 체다 아니 지금 다 몸매라가 이제 다 무드러 와 같이 무서야 돼 메자리 니마나 케아리 출제야리 간지 아니 메토드 소와 야보 대발라 코티티바라 코나 처음 한번 이거도 와 어도 치바리.
So even with the simple things like a flower in your backyard, if you want to have the flower grow properly and be in a beautiful form as always, then you have to provide all the required causes and conditions for it to sustain properly, right? So whatever you have to do, pouring water or fertilizer or even putting insecticides, so like those are not really good things, but whatever you need to keep the flower grow properly, then you have to do that. If you don't do those things, if you miss any of those causes and conditions, then the flower will not grow properly in the way you want.
어제 두저 사람들 땡하도 직땡도 다 거기도 와. 제 장아 당간도 야 가시게 아 남배 주대 녀로 타고 싶은데 달라야 처음 보시오데 직제 처음부터 이 제가부터 대 말해 돼. 레버드 야보지 거기요나 아니 대 용하게 쳐대야 유튜브 듣고 그래스. 대 직땡도 다 거기도 와. 직발에.
So that's how things are in our regular life, right? In our mundane and regular life, and so it's same in the Dharma. So it's not like there's excuse in the Dharma. It's the same thing. So Dharma is nothing different, from the reality how things work. And so for you to have a good result from your Dharma practice, then you have to create all these causes and group of causes and conditions together. So by doing the practice, by following the commitments and so forth.
오케이. 어디지 간지스 어디 다되지 다음 들만 오죠. 다 가던 로종 게 담슬라 좁제요래 들어와. 안들만 가도 마보 슈사인 봐.
And so last time we talked about some of these 18 commitments of the mind training, right?
간지 다 베나 대나가 내가 약하지 쇼와이나 담보대 아니 다 로종 냠레 요 노도 chen 양 지 라와 젬발라 체소 마치 바 있고 그래스.
And so so the first one it says is the never to transgress the precepts of the mind training. And it says do not use the mind training as a pretext, for ignoring the more basic vows. So it's, oh, I'm a mind trainer, mind training practitioner, so therefore it doesn't matter if I don't observe those basic vows. Not thinking like that.
아니 다 나중에 다 로종은 냠레 요 노도 chen 다 아니 슐록지 간지 시 미스가는 심지 셴바가 지야 다 따좀 못되와 근데 쇼바 마치 예스와 니바들이 자요레스.
And also don't nibadri.
니바데.
And then it says the second is not to let your mind training become a mere travesty. And so because I say, oh, I'm a mind training practitioner, therefore I can behave in any way I want. It's all in the mind. It doesn't matter. So not thinking like that. And then with that thought, then engaging in improper behavior, which is considered as improper from the other mundane people.
아니 숨바다 로종 쇼레 마성하고 그래스.
And the third one is not to let your mind training become partial.
다 로종 쇼레 봤을 때 간지 지금 저바도 고마이나 소소 녀다 소소 가살라 저 곰타바치 아니 소소 마가살라 아니 고마도 왔더니 제메레스 대나 졸로종데 다다 연구요 말레스.
So what does it mean here? Not to become partial. It's like if you're meditating on patience, then you're meditating on patience on your friends and families, but not meditating on enemies. It should not be like that.
아니 시와대 아니 야 로종 냠네 연도도 치네 야다 슐록지 남준다름 마타바까지 넘버 젤라 랑사 쇼스. 나가 삼로 땅땅데 제워 잡지 아니 슐로고 양치 가로 아치 남전담라 세가나면도 에너지 다 가로 제당담라 제요 말했어 와 모두 소말했어
남주도 가서
던덤버젤라 랑사쇼스 가지 삼로 땅땅지 제워 잡 아니 슐로고 양 미지 마다와 개체오 말이야 로종의 인도도 전에 마저와 제워 말했어 제요 말에.
So so it says the fourth one is to change your aspirations but preserve your old manner. So whatever you're doing in general, just keep on doing that. But of course change in your mind. So internal mind has to be changed, but external behavior should be the way it is seen in a proper way by other people.
이제 소소 따지자 내망에
Instead of changing your internal mind, if you just change your behavior in a certain way out from outside and people look in a different way, that's not good. So that's what it means here. Change your aspiration, but preserve your old manners.
소소도 따지체고를 랑라 꼬도 마치와 인자 녜 남배 추 마치면 갈라 오가 되지 바나 공로도 배샤바나 미지가 실제만 공로 찍어 소도면 다 단다 오다 땡원에 레면도 미파초와다 아니지 다 머리 몸에 온 거래서 아주 간지 수수 저와 검토하지 내마다 마다 차였나 다 로종 집에 고쳐고요래.
And so you can check your own internal mind, right? Your mind is not hidden to yourself. It may be hidden to others, but it's not hidden to yourself. So you know how patient you are and how angry you were before you started practicing Dharma. And then after starting to practice Dharma, how much patient you have become. And so like that. And so you can see that. So that's what changes you have to bring inside your mind, but not the outside, not outside behaviors.
세상에 가서 공부를 듣기 dum기죠 쉬어야 돼서 가정 공부를 듣기 내가 아니 사실은 공부를 듣다 kun도 바주도 왔다 와요. 바주고 맞죠. 아니 공부를 듣고 바주도 봤다네. 아니 바주고 리모트 티 리모로 고마슈 진달라 때요. 어떤데기 다 가시로고. 아니 니바든데 요레스. 이나 술 공부를 듣 공부 얼 빠데다 빠데다와 빠테발로 고마시 빠데다와 빠데다와 아니 니마다 간지 미사시게 야파 바주소하다 아니 바주도 레가라 샤네 아니 빠데다웨가 아니 바가야 리모티 텔레 고마주 젠달라 테 오틴디기다 나그 춥다스가 니바트네 요레스 나 초로라 미드도 고 바주도 당겨오리.
And so, just like I think I told you this story about Chandakirti when he was appointed, as a cow herder, like herding the cows, and so he would just let the cows, roam around, in the hills, where there are grass and so forth, leaves and grass, but then he will draw, a picture of a cow on a wall, and then milk, from there, and then take that milk, to the sponsor, to the benefit. Like outside and inside, he has such a high realization like that, where he is able to milk, from the cow, that's like drawn on the wall. But but outside, he's just like herding cows.
제가 당 배나가도 배벨 웃었더니 요 말. 다 대나 지질 웃었대도 배나 갈로스 참 대화 있어야다. 같이 제와 있어야 돼. 난 지제 참 로중이 대화서 담보 깨자 시험에 때 다한 것도. 대에 다운다. 같이는 나랑 세바 마타 와지를 말. 이 파초에 아니 참 대화도 야보래 이나 그 샘에 다가 요 롬에 따로 땡겨래.
So it's not a really a tradition, where Tibetans will speak so much about their practice, what practices they have done. But Westerners are very open about that, right? So they always, from the time you meet, introduce yourself. Oh, I've been Buddhist for this many years. I have done this practice, and I have done this, 3 years retreat. I have done this and a deity practice and a deity retreat and so forth. So those things, show that you don't really have tamed your mind from inside. But just from the outside, you're doing this practice to show off.
가지 로종은 냠래다. 아니 간도 이제 취지해야 돼. 다 등수 고샤라 다 지지는 간도 레 마타 와니면 네도 다 배샤 시작지나 가지 다든 되게 말해.
So this is like kind of a show off. Maybe it's my mind, my impure mind, thinking in that way. But it shows like they're like showing off. So like related with the eight-order concerns. So to show off, to get more pride and more reputation, they just tell around what they have been doing.
옛날 야 다시다 미 파조 근로서 하고 말아. 야 근로 파조와 야 옌바야 된데 제가 봐. 죽고 제대나 야 콘드데요.
And so maybe also it depends on their motivation, why they're saying that, right? If the motivation is to, put themselves up, then that's not good. Show off, that's not good. But if their motivation is to, so if I tell them, then they will do it also, like that. In order to bring them in, bring others to do this kind of same kind of practice. If you tell them, then maybe it's not, bad motivation.
배차셔나 단다 땅보는 것이가 아니 녜기 땀 밑에 날아야 배는 나 마셔도 많은 장요 송도 왔어. 대용화도 양 아들의 장요 그지만 어가도 야름 뭐지 된다지 않는 아들의 제도도 양 드리기 야 봐줘 가라. 제야래야 지 줄거 평게다 들어 송거라면 지야 그래 말해.
So like in the case of His Holiness, saying that, he has recited so many mantras, of Om Mani Padme Hum, so many malas, so many times Om Mani Padme Hum, and that's the biggest number of the mantra that he has ever recited in his life, in his entire life. So in that case, like when we hear that, then we say, even His Holiness does that, so definitely I should do that too. I even need more. I need to do even more. So then that will help us, to think about doing even more, just like His Holiness. So then that's a different case.
오케이. 어디지? 아니. 제가 간터를 아니 소소 연주 샤좀 야답에 따와 셈지 수수고 셈지도 도바체고 그래. 열고 그래. 어to 송거래.
So anyway, so one has to change one's aspiration, or like subdue one's mind, and with the practice of renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct view.
어디지? 다더니 나와대 연락냠바 좀 샤트다 양 고와 심바에 가정에 가르 심바다 때베나 미드라단 시질로서 가지 드리면 되베나 믹샤가 명이나 양아도 다양 telaya 다 샤라세 개다야로 거지. 야고 깡바야 보면은 야고 땅가도 베벨로서 야 트도아들 배치다 간지 디가 콘돌아야지 견조지야 되는 지야요 말해서 봐. 야라마서 원데 임바이나.
And then the fifth one is do not mention others' withered limbs. Like I think this is a good. Here people don't talk about other people's defect of their body parts. Like some in East, in Asian countries, like people who are blind, they call, oh, you blind person, and like that, you blindy or something like that. And then if you have a broken leg, and then you are limping when you walk, and then there's this, you limper like that, So they always call out with their defective part of the body, and so if you're crazy, then you go, oh, you're crazy, like you a mad person, like that. They always call that, they call out, So that's what it's saying here. So do not mention others' withered limbs.
나도 뭐 주주가 때 보고서 주바자라 보고서 상가도 주주 아니 주바자 파티 치면 파티 타리문에 깼자 그래. 전서 빨라 깜바샤가 깜바야고 메야 전서 아말라 미야고 메야 스파스케 그래서 보고서 파티 드링이 되려고 그랬어.
So in Tibet, we used to, like when we were young, we used to fight with each other, and then we will mention, the withered limbs of their parents. Your father is has a broken leg, and your mother has a blind eye. That, So we say that, when, of course, it doesn't sound very bad here, but in the culture there, it's very bad. It's like scolding, others, putting down on others.
어디 다 두바데 아니 옌지 졸라다 옌 미파쇼베 쫀짱짱 쇼노 체마데스 쫀짱짱 거네요.
And then the sixth one is do not think of others at all, means I don't think of others' faults at all.
제가 다 쫀짱해서는 가지고 가는데 쫀짱짱 통데 그러와.
Because if you look at the faults, then you will only see the faults.
특히나 해도 제당이 가산쳐서 대빼 뭐뭐샤야 봐. 저도 저거 때문에 담보 냠도 집에 갈라다 땅 밑에다 냠도 마데나 가 시기인스. 슈마티지 쫀르버 쇼제버 갈라 지 능맥의 대도가 파조베 깨제 셰당 남조 땡당 차 누가 짱짱만 통하면 돼. 제가 소소 쇼지는 다 저원 로지데 니니 소소 삼당당 저원 로기서 봐.
So, like I mentioned last time quite a lot in a lengthy way about your husband and wife, right? So first, when you meet, you only see the good things. It's not that the person doesn't have a bad, it's just that you don't see that, you only see the good, and then you say, oh, I love that person, I want to be with that person. If I don't I get to spend life with that person, I will die, like that, But then after being with that person, then you start to see the faults. Then when you see the faults, then you only see the faults. You don't see any good qualities. You only see the faults. And then you come to the point where it says, I don't want to live with this person even for a moment. If I live with this person even for a moment longer, I'm going to die like that. So it's not that the person doesn't have any good qualities. Of course, he has a lot of good qualities, but when you're looking at the faults, you only see the faults. Therefore, that's why he says, do not look at look at others' faults at all.
근데 저거는 다 소소 조보 조모 조가 때문에 소소 커뮤니티 소소 개개도 다 가와다. 소소 대든 저와 제세버걸라 다 쫑쇼나 따요 말. 쫑쇼다나 소소 그때라 이체라도 소소 이체라나 아니 소소 그다 릴레이션십 다 인데가 반다와 쫑용 그래서 그래서 내가 빼쳐버려도
Yeah, so same, with other relationships like the teacher disciple, our children, parents, friends with each other, and all these things, So it's good to, it's not good to see their faults all the time, right? And all the time. If you see that, then you will what's the end of the relationship. So it's not that they don't have fault. Of course, they have fault from their side too. And they also have a good, quality from their side too. But when you're looking at the fault, you only see the faults. You don't see it. It's like when you're looking at it, that's what you only see, and therefore you should not look at the faults all the time.
어제도 내가 제다 근데 내가 benangye George pele peche and the barata wata jala pa pea tata peptochive galaya and the halama shanchokia tangantola yanjuchik kaji nire tsovada janen and the tendigia nyamnich narona sea pa shiva imbari George.
And so, when Lama Disha came to Tibet, and then he, Lama Yeshe, who was the king at that time, who invited Lama Disha to come and teach in Tibet. Then he, instead of asking for all these high teachings, he asked for just simple teachings, to practice, on their day-to-day life.
Any 다시 당연 그만 뭐 쉬자 변다 다 상조 람종 걸 뭐 상 취자 버리 내일 하서 계셔요 말해서 어두 송한 말이 인바이나 다지 카스오지네요 특하시 아니 딱 쉬어 왔다 나서 어떤 로종들 또 막송을
And so, so he started to give these teachings, on the
상조 람종
so the lamp on the path to enlightenment, right? And so and on all these teachings, on the mind training practices.
어제 다 되네 다 가래에 송을한다 아니 저보다 다음에는 사람을 상처고도 그래 저보다 저나도 상처 마도 받아 아니 개개 거기다 신이 왔네 신이 야보tes 어때 송바레스
And so then he started to, talk about first, it is related with the lamp on the path to enlightenment, which is the source of the Lam-rim teaching, right? And so he started to, first saying, but by saying, "Oh friends," he addressed them as "Oh friends." From this time, till you die, always properly devote to your teacher.
제 장가 내가 신부 쳐야 되나 조지 별을 배울 거라야 다 배워서라야 저랑서 라마라야 아니 담아봐 같이 소소 같이 라면 드시 매봐도 저랑 동그룹 토고 말해서 좀 봐야 돼.
And so there's an importance, for saying about that, because Lama Zopa also mentioned that if you see the guru as an ordinary person, then you will never achieve realizations.
제가 안에 배워서라다 배워라 드네 디갑드네 이 말에 담보 배울 거라야 조실라야 아티샤스. 말 주시하러 시다세하러 간지 기재매고 간지 소소 집안으로 시작해서 대자와이나 소소를 전업대 연구해서 말와.
And so that was the kind of the trend, like in Tibet at that time, to see the guru as an ordinary person, and like they didn't call Lama Tisha, but they just call him Atisha. And so if you don't respect or see the guru as a Buddha, then you will not receive the blessings or realizations.
그래서 대내가 가르던나 수수 개개라야 따당 약보 요원나 수수 디칸이가 수수 칸이면 계속 소소라게 진짜 되다야.
And so why you have to respect the guru, if you respect the guru, then you will listen to the person, listen to the guru. If you listen to the guru, then you will follow those practices or the advices given by the guru, and then you will be the one to benefit from that, right? And so therefore you have to respect the guru. It's not like that's going to make a guru higher or anything.
맨날 부고 파말을 기집제왔다. 아니 롭주기야 개개라 기집제나 롭주 코로나 파마당 개개가 롭주들 고야기 간지 랍자 섬모당다가 야 짱짱 시간에 그 대년만에 개번 롭주 코로나 토고요.
Just like a child, respecting the parents or respecting their teachers, right? Because the parents and the teachers are always, saying the things that is beneficial for the child. So if child listen, respect, and then if child respect the teacher or parents, then child will listen. If child respects, if child don't respect, then child will not listen, right? So if you respect, then you listen. If you listen and follow those advices, and that will benefit the child, himself or herself.
어디지 대체지. 다도 나다 라마 때마다 되거든. 된다고 말해서 내려 마토바다 아니 투바고 라미 명알아야 보니스. 어디서 말해서.
And so is it good enough just to devote, or respect the guru? And that's not enough, So after respecting, you have to listen, to all the instructions, of the guru. Or listen, means like study also, right? Study the instructions given by the guru till you, achieve the realization.
다 원래 취 시바든지 좋았나고 대인적인 말에 취 시바든지 상 무자비 취 냠슬랑 시바데 냠슬랑 소 많이 말해서.
And then is it enough, to just study the teachings? No, it's not enough. Because just by studying, you will not achieve enlightenment. So whatever you have studied, you have to put it into practice.
워낙 가르치는 냠슬랑 그거래서 다 들어와서 손을 그래서 냠내 가르치고 그래서.
And then the next question was, how do you put it into practice?
나 라다 젠지 셈라 누베게 샤와였나? 텔레파 타린스데스.
So how do you practice is by staying far away from the actions that is harmful to yourself and others.
다때 리기 샤와, 악 샤와, 이지 샤와 숨고여로 왔어.
And so those are the actions, created by body, created by speech, and created by mind.
아니 소수 링아 예সম데 아니 게베샤완 페사텔 데스.
And then place your stay close, to the action that is beneficial for oneself and others, like those actions of the body, speech, and mind that is beneficial for oneself and others.
간지 고대오잖아 소수 링아 예সম라 그디나 아니 샤라치스 간지 가로 나보 잡세노 고고레스.
So he's saying that to look after your body, speech, and mind all the time.
다 원나 갈진에서나 아니 대 가디바 가세바지나 아니 대라 땜바 마토바도 제거레스.
So how long should you do that? Till you achieve stability in that.
다 나지게 소소 뇨모야 공원에 양 펜로야기 아니 조보다 내수 간데나 대도 타레스 바데스.
And also says stay far away, from the situation or a friend, from which the delusions will increase.
그러와 그래서 빼는 거죠. 아니 년세 따데 다 추든지 잡절이야. 아니 소소 개와 강 대바데야 조절랑 뭐 아니 소소 셈다 아니 가로 파데 따야보 다보 잡세 어디내지 요레스.
And then whatever virtuous actions you have created, throughout the day, dedicate it to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all.
아니 명아 당도 명아니 명아생다 명아 세대가 아니 라메기 까준도 년에 소소 드베데레 대지고레스.
So the instruction, when I say instruction, that's the teaching given by the guru, which we listen, study, and put into practice.
어떤데 들어봐야나 아니 림보 마토바 아니 소소근 되버데 톱거레스 어두 송아이 말이.
So if we do that, then within a short time, one will achieve the realizations. That's what Lama Disha said.
아니 소소근 너바텔이야 간지 당도 샘전라고 나타 살가오쇼 베나 따도 소도 샘전 빼 탈가 대나지 수순 너와라야 간지 가로 소소 야마나 삼로 야마나 소소가 레와 야마나 소소 너와라야 간지 잡아슈지 뭐 마치에서 와이 봐.
And so it says, should not be very attached, to our desires and our wishes and so forth. So like we have very strong desire, right? Like the animals, the cows and so forth, they have very strong desire towards salt, and they like to eat salt all the time. And so like that, we should not have so much strong attachment to our desires.
제다 나도 첸데가 너와 짜자전에 소소 너와랑 같아 득소삼 초인만 너와 강하요 말레스.
So if you could keep on thinking about this life and wanting more and more this life, we can never be satisfied. We'll never say, oh, okay, this is all I need now. We never come to that point. We always want to have more and more and more. So the more we have desire and the more we want to have it.
오게 다 더서베 로종기 아니 까덴베 기비신이즈마 냠네다요 강들 아니 지금 소소고 조보 조모 모시발라지 레베샤 강이 받는 파타와이나 아니 소소라 캡상마 요하다 양쪽 장장 군데다나 아니 소소라야 아니 종라 같은데 요하다 아니 도치마지 예송 바이 말.
So these are the practice of the mind training. And so like that, whether it's your friends or your spouse, or your guru, you always should look in a good way. Only look for the good qualities in them. Should not look for the faults in them. If you look in the faults, then you will only find the faults.
제가 더 내가 담보 소속을 배나 개개세야 돼. 아니 담보 소속 따지야 보체스. 아니 따지야 보체네 소속 개개 댄서 비질라 아니 댄트야 보체고 그래스. 아니 소속을 람부질라 또밖에 맞게다 신이 되더라 그래스. 어떻게 다 람름 다 로종다. 아니 또 공부에 또 마보 여러 봐.
So it is very important, to first check the guru properly. And so once you have checked the guru, then you can rely on the guru. Before checking, you should not just rely. You should always check before you rely. So, but once you have relied, once you have started to rely on that guru, then you should, always see only good qualities in the guru. Should not see any bad qualities. Only see good qualities in the guru.
어제 다도 용거 와데 다다 간에 연기 쫀짱짱 손에 담아데 쫀짱짱 신다나 때 간제 산제 좀 되더라 나가도
So anyway, so this is like the sixth one, right? So it says, do not think of others at all, means do not think of others' faults at all. Because if you look at the faults, if you think of the faults, then you will also find faults in Buddha Shakyamuni.
Okay. 제 장가 아니 오다들 다대 슈모 다 돈바데 뉴모 같이 응라 용사데스.
And then the seventh one is the purify the greatest delusions first.
다 제나 다대 칼레카오르 다 가도 질 뉴모 슈체데 담보 장고 그래서 말 말이.
So it is saying that purify the greatest delusion first. Whatever the bigger delusion that we have in our mind, that's what we should first, try to eliminate.
가지 미코로 사오 제나 다 단다 슌주 레그 투바디 야볼로 고요 말이.
And so if you are an angry person, then you should read and practice the sixth chapter of the Guide to the Buddhist Studies.
가나 티나라야 코쪽이 님을 돼서 빼면 뭐 소요.
So there it talks about all the disadvantages, the faults of having anger.
아니 무슨나 제보 제나 다 못다봐야 공고요 말이.
And if he's a very miser person, then should meditate on impermanence.
그래서 가르서나 가지네 세나 좀 가지 못하고 공부나 대고 nen가지래. 간지 응보에 봐다 콘 지배라지. 가지 가두이나 진 전도면 되게 말이. 가지 콘 전도 그래서 대대 삼고 그러 봐.
And so why you have to think about impermanence, if you are miser, is because when you're a miser, you keep the things with you all the time, right? Thinking that this is going to be there for you all the time, and you're going to be there, to use it all the time, And maybe you don't use it, but you just want to keep it with you, right? So if you think about the impermanence of yourself, of the things that you have, then you will not, care so much about it.
제장도 잡아서라야 오늘 세단 덴바이나 잡아서라 벤다 세심 징아치 권대도 봐. 다시 한번 찍으면 좋고 말해.
And so, so you see, you think, you look at the nature of the impermanence, right? How these things changes. If you don't see that, then you will always grasp at the permanence. So, like in the case, the monks, you are supposed to have only one extra robes, one extra set of robes only.
대야 끊어들라 오다 슈마치 게투 사바이 되는 텔라테야 예스면 끊어 되는 야고요.
And then extra set, is to, should be kept, should be kept with the thought, to give it away, to someone who is in need. Like if there is a new disciple, new monk who needs a robe, then, I'll have extra sets, to give it away.
제가 간지 따때 당 무슬라야 얘는 간지 mambu가도 고야대 당아 즉 간지 땅등 앞까지 방 집배제 당가리 직진할 롱 내질라 봐 레미나 로추기질 지진항에 부배제 당가는 것도 두지나 땅듯이 아니 다대 밥 셴발라 때마라도 간지 차바대 온 문제도 여러분.
And so why we are not able to, give it away is because, why we want to keep collecting more and more things is because we think, oh, I will need this now, I need this maybe later, I will need this maybe 10 years later. Like thinking that even after 10 years, we're going to still be alive, right? And then maybe, even if I die, and after maybe I die, my children can use it, or my disciples can use it, like that. So that with that thought, then we collect more and more things with us.
지나서 당가도 집발에 가야나 클로즈 고치나 내 지금 마음보여서 땡가 봐지 쓰면 신의 지기 다달하듯이 가서 마음 받자인데 다달하듯이.
So if you look into your closet, then you will find it, right? So how many clothes, pairs of shoes and clothes that you have. Same with me, like I have 4 or 5 sets of robes. I have given some away, but I still have some more than I need.
단단 갈래 자켓 바지 다 바지 숨 쉬지요.
So I have like 4 or 5 of jackets, so 3 or 4 jackets.
아니 단단 당가도 좀 나로 거야 함고요. 대 바지 숨 쉬지요.
Even the slippers that you wear inside the room, I have 3 or 4 sets of them.
아니 때는 함고 들어오다 가지 함고 바지 숨 쉬지는 갈 텐데요. 바지 싱하지면은.
And then the outside, the shoes, that we wear to go outside. I think at least I have like 4 or 5 pairs.
제장가도 차바들에도 파 밀대서나 때 말아. 아이 나 인데 야가 공고서. 나 건과 공고서. They call Chakbati Pujalo something.
And so yeah, so we're not able to give it away because of our attachment to those things. I says, I will need this one for this time. I will need this for that time. Maybe that good for the
세상에도 다
no,
지나도
intertwined with that.
지나서 클로즈 파 고신 지다다. 로지라 저 라파치는 만창 바지 둘로 가질 하대 되고 라파치는 만창.
And so if you look, open your closet, and wardrobe, look in there, then you might find some clothes that you haven't touched for the entire year.
제가 나도 땅에 내가 지나도 누가가 야 시험마다 나도 참아랜도 간지 샘 잡로 될라야 간지 잡아서 돼 밀라 트레마라. 근데 소소 배제마다 돼 샤샤 뭐뭐도.
And so I'm not saying you're bad and I'm good. We all said, I also said, I have so much attachment like that. We all said we have all the things that we keep, for ourselves. We're not using for ourselves and not able to give it give away to others. So that's the miser, the miserliness.
예, 저 안다 두 저는 배는 간도 배나. 간도란다 다 나다 세나시라메. 나도 비 소소 간데 잘라라 간지 그리고 잡아시라 메상보다 두저 상보다나 나라서 배네 배제 체내 마다야. 진짜 땅 먹어야 잘라가지고 날 강하대요다.
So normally we don't think that, oh, I'm a miser person, but if we really think and check in and think carefully, then we'll see that we're very miser, which means it's like, things that you have, which you don't use for yourself and you're not able to give it away to others.
당가도 진짜 지제에서 간다는 것이 당가도 배회로서는 야달라 로첨보 진에 뽀라 몰라 차거라네 야 세나 치야라 아니 잘라 차서 야 굼대지 양가도 샘그 나사로부터 내야 내도.
And I don't know about the Westerners, but the Easterners, like Tibetans, who, as you grow older, you become more miser. You start to collect, everything. So even if you see a piece of stick on the road, you say, oh, maybe I can, burn it later. And then you keep that also. You bring that home also, like that. There's a saying that, even a piece of stick, you will collect. So that shows miser. So as you grow older, you become more miser. Is it like that for the Westerns?
제가 텐디 잘라장장서는 배다 나도 시갈라가 배나 소소 샘들이 차와이나 다들 니가 전부 제가 차와요.
And so, especially like when we're growing older, we're becoming more closer to death, right? To die. So if we have that kind of thought, like a miserliness at the time of death, then that's not going to be very good rebirth in the future, right?
제가 나도 배vel로서 미시나 미디 시테베질라 나도 티사이 파이로 티파이브 깔라야 아니 뭐도 见 가래제네 총도 나사데 가래제네 용와 아니 개와 가래제데 그거와 아니 샘 가와 차다 강가 랍그레스 제가 마모 잘라치지라 차다 잘라니 차다 마모 용 그래.
So in Tibetan culture, like we have this astrology thing, where the astrologer, will do will do like a math, to see what disease caused the death and what kind of disease the person had, how he died, what was the state of his mind, like where his mind was attached to, and so forth. They can see it. And then most people, who will have their mind attached to their possessions, like to the money or to so and so things, to like that. So the most of people die, with the mind being attached, to some kind of things.
제가 님마 산지 좀 전에 샤쇼는 것들을 로지 뭐도 간지 지지 차와니 차와 되게 내려 뭐도 다 다당아도 저사면 님마 산지 좀 전에 쉬어져 가들 다 샤리보다 뭐가 저와트가 근데 가르친데 쇼는 안에 산지 좀 전에 오다 질 내는 디감 되는 데를 좀 뭐들이 쇼와래 말했잖아 그렇다 대상아도 미스터 사케요 말와.
So, as you have seen maybe the stories, where Buddha, during the time of the Buddha, people were born and they died with this kind of mind being attached to something, and then they were born, as so and so forth. And so then when this creature, when they were born like with the creature like that, then what caused them to be born as like that? So during that time, the disciples of Buddha, like Shariputra, Mongolian, and so forth, asked Buddha. And of course, Buddha is omniscient, he knows everything, so he can tell. oh yeah, so because this creature was like this and he did this and now he became like, because of that he was born as such and such creature. So that, at that time there was a Buddha there, they can ask. But right now we don't have Buddha, who can tell us like, oh, this is all like that. So we don't know. But there's all these actions related with the kind of rebirth or kind of body that each of us have.
제단 남주다 소소 가지 단 가는 소소 삼로 단이야. 소소질이야. 너무 가리 슈첸도 다 텔레테 내가 마치고 가지 내가 되는도 와.
Anyway, so whatever delusion in us is the stronger, then we should work harder. First, try to and tackle with that.
뭐 어때 tumbat 다 개와든 레버레버 탐치 방아서 가지야. 소소 개와 채워대 나랑라치 야포지 요마쇼 나랑치 기부대 같은데 짜져 삼대 요 말이스.
And so that's the seventh, right?
dumba.
So that's the sixth one, and now seventh one is
No, that seventh another dumba nyumo chewa ngala pongsa de.
Okay. So the seventh one is to purify the greatest delusion first, right? And the eighth one is that abandon all hopes of result. Like whatever practice you are doing, don't have and don't hope, for a big result, from your practice.
제가 소소가 아닌 즉 야포 영화 주보지나 된점나 고대 다른 참도 그래. 다된 점도 그래. 대만이 바제 sem제 탐조 상제가 제대야. 제기에 사면은 sem제도 상 마제가 받다 딘 레버들 롱쇼야 봐. 레버들 들어야 되는데.
So like it's the same as like setting a proper motivation, before you do the action, right? So when you engage in virtuous action, I think that's instead of saying, oh, I want to have so this and this result, so therefore I'm going to do this. If you do that, then once you have achieved that result, then that's it. So I mean, like the worldly result, for this life, then whatever you have achieved, then after that the good karma is gone, right? The good action that you have created is gone. But instead it says, I'm going to do this and this to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentients. Then it will last there until you achieve enlightenment.
배찬으로 오시는 배는 안두배나 아리나라야던 담블릭게다 여와기야 아니 랍터 주요서 놓았죠. 저도 하고 저러. 배나 하버드 MIT 선호. 담블릭 참말게다 이것이.
So I don't know, maybe it says like there are 10 well-known universities in America, right? That's not only in America, not only well-known in America, but well-known in the whole world, like Harvard, MIT, and so forth, right?
다돼요. 당어도 배나 엔단다 트랍스 유니버시티다 보스턴다 다든소다 아리나기 콜랍단도 왔어.
And so like the top university and Boston University, those are like the universities inside America, right? Inside the United States.
당어도 배나 콜리지 애플리케이션 땅고 요와 나 배나 랍터 탑 유니버시티도 참마치 간제 랍터 주디 강갈 땅와 있나 든소라 책 레버지요로. 다 든소치는 땅 메워지 탑로 나 보스턴 지금지 땅면나 그 델리파 라군군 로에 말고 대문지 제메와 있다. 비선으로 해서
So like if you have sent application to all these 10, then you can, there's the hope, to get into one of these 10s. But if you only limit to one, like Tufts University or Boston University, then you only, get to that. So it's like that, I think.
제가 간지 간지 정말 람름도 나쁘나 세네게 치나 개와든 거나 가래용 거래. 세 심에 치는 거나 가래용 거래에서 도지네 다 들어만 보여와.
And so just like in the Lam-rim teaching, what happens for this life only, and what happens if you dedicate, for the next future lives.
어다 가나 가잖아. 샘제 담도 상지게 도 먹고 그래서 샘제 상지게 도 제고 그래서 제다 아니 샘제 이제 상마제 받은 데블롱 쉬어요 그래서.
And so you should not expect, you should not dedicate only for this life, but rather dedicate, for the achievement of the full enlightenment for all sentient beings. So if you do that, then you will be able to experience or enjoy the result until you achieve enlightenment.
아니 거와데 독진지 세발라 그래서 독진지 세.
And ninth one, it says abandon food with the poison in it.
근데 다 간지 아니 독진지 세대 랑집한테 젠전데레스 랑집한테 젠전데 천안한 내고래 천안고선까지 간지 아니 독요가 칼라도 치바레스 어다데 아니
So the poison of food here is referring to the self-cherishing and attitude. So So if you have that self-chasing attitude, then that's like eating a poisonous food.
아니 저와대 아니 다가르 유상보 못된 바사들이스. 되나 간나 간지 뇨모 제와나 소소 조보 약보지 투바 나지 전이야. 소소 대냠도 줘야요 말이스. 된다.
그래서
아니 이제 용상 못된 바들 용상보 못된 바. 이제 다 된다. 소소질라 뇨모 제와였나야. 뇨모 되기 양화데 소소 조보 약보지 투바 나지 전에. 아니 뇨모 되기 오한도 줘야요 말이스. 뇨모 제와나 녀모 못된 바. 젠테비 유상보 못제 바스.
중성부 때야 말했어.
다시 요즘 뭐 같이 뇨모데 소소 조반한지 때요 말했어. 때나 돼.
네, 그래.
뇨모 째와나 님보 못째 봐. 전태비 윤상보 못제. 나 두쟁에서 오다 다하는 거지.
네, 다들 중성부 때봐.
요즘 먼저 갈라나 간지 소소질 뇨모 째와나 뇨모데 소소 조반하지 전에 그 가는 있는 줘요 말했어.
So like it says here, the remaining verse would be covered without directly quoting the root text. So anyway, so the 구바되는 주바되다.
주바돼요.
그래서 중성부
못된 봐.
된다 가서.
아니 다 뇨모 제와이나 뇨모 티가 소소 조반하지 진티 칼니야요 말이지.
And so it's like if the delusions arise in your mind, then you should not follow those delusions, like you will follow your good friend.
나도 조보야 보이나 나도 조보다 딱 칼라사간도 자도 놀어와. 어테나지 치야만 요모 제와나 요모 되게 잘안 되고 내가 디코 컨이야요 말이지.
So like if we have a good friend, we'll follow good friends, right? Go to accompany the good friend, right? Go to eat together or play or hang around together like that. So you should not do like that, with the delusion.
나 공조고 미티 초 가금데다 미티 초치 랍군데라네 아니 잘로들라 초콜라 팔라 콜라 렌데 전에 콜라 직 전도 걸로죠 오그 칼 녀바나 다 조선 뭐 가래 요도 뭐 땜바래 되냐 말이지.
And so like and so it's like if you are angry, if the anger in your mind arises because you think that person is being bad to you or saying bad things to you, and then your anger will say, okay, so say the same thing to that person, do the same thing, do like the same, retaliate in the same way to that person. And then you're following. If you do that, then you're following the anger, right? So that's what he's saying. So should not follow the anger.
오케이 다 느리 집가라야 알레 잠가들인도 오다티 팅아와들 두바데트니 삼메 팽만 가서 롤체네 팽 말이 오다 내니 체냐가 문도와 내 체냐가 문도와 내 삼냐가 문도와 대수를 내고 그래.
And so at this time, like at the time when you're thinking about these commitments, it's okay, so first one is this, second one is this. That doesn't help you, right? So what you think is that I should not do this, I should not do that, I should not do that. That will help, But if you just count and this is the first one, this is the second one, then you're just counting it. So rather you should think that I should not do that, or I should not do this, I should not do that like that. I should not follow delusions, I should not eat poisonous food like that. That's what.
단들이 제냐가 매반다. 네 삼냐가 매반다스. 또 삼 대수수 살면 고거가 되르다.
Well, that's what you have to think. So, I should not. I think I'm not supposed to do that, or I think I'm not supposed to think like that.
대 수수 살면 대 고려되나 땅원이 나도 주님바도 고쳐거리. 님바 대 수수 살면 섬지 대 라레 따다나 땅원이 나도 님바 고쳐거리.
And so if you think like that and then and put into practice, then that is the worth listening to the teachings. Otherwise, if you just count, that doesn't help much.
제가 단계 조지가 송소와 아니 추투네 샤잔 되게 말했어. 냠들랭 거래 송소와.
So just like I mentioned about Lama Desha, he said it's not sufficient just to listen or study the teachings, but you should also put into practice.
Okay. 아니 샘라 누비게 예당 타리도 되고 그래서 가지 라다 yenji 아니 지 리당 말라 내가 그래 네스트네나 대다 타리도 되고 그래서.
So it says you should stay far away, from the things, situation and actions that is harmful to oneself and others.
세상도 배울로서라 지키라야 돼. color social and roars, color social and not so color race. And the was she did a cock chick chill like the 10 dry my 10 donor yinga china she did such social sugar than the yinga like you.
So, so there's a saying in Tibetan, like if you should go to the places where they cook food, because then you there's a chances of getting food. But you should not go to the place where they're chopping wood, and because if you go to that place, then the piece of wood might fly and then hit you.
제장다 네가른다 오 내선 내게 변한 제나 오 야무나 소소로 누구도 야무나 미셔만 누구도나 데려라빠 마장스 네가 야나 소소로 변하는 아다 데려라빠 장스 대도 고고도.
So like that, so you should not get involved in the things that is harmful to others and yourself, and you should get involved in the things that is more beneficial for yourself and others.
제자 끊어야 보이는 바이나 끊어야 바네 야내설 좀 따고다 된 삼성가 끊어야 보이는 바이나 그 내서 된 촉되나 그 따다 되게 버려.
And so look at the action and both the motivation, right? So even if the motivation is good, but if the action is not good, then you should not do that.
제자다 간도 된다 레 담보 와인다 변나 나다 와인다 가지 끊어야 보이나 그 내가 제가 너로 못 보인 거다. 그 끊어야 나 안에 내선디 가르쳐서 내가 맞지면 내가 성비 땅고 있어라.
And so for beginners like ourselves, like myself, like people like me and myself, then it is important, to check the actions as well. Even though we try to have a good motivation, but if the action is not proper, then we should not engage in that, because even if we have a proper motivation, if the action is harmful to others and oneself, then we should not engage in those actions.
Okay, that's it. 제가 다 들이 몸보셔야 돼. 지나서는데 다 내제 좋으면 되고 단단히 뺏는 거다. 오 다티 개발했잖아. 내 개발에 대한 두발 때는 삼는 것도 팽이면 돼. 나 내제 좋으면 돼. 내제 좋으면 돼. 대선을 치드나 너도 고쳐 그래.
So like I said again, it's not good enough just to think like, oh, this is the number 9 is this, number 10 is this, or number 8 is this, number 9 is not like that. But rather thinking, oh, I think this is not, I'm not supposed, this is something that I'm not supposed to do, or this is something that I'm not supposed to do, like that. If you think like that, then that would be helpful to your mind. Otherwise, if you just say this is number 6, this is number 7, this is number 8, then that's just like counting, and it doesn't help your mind.
대야 되네 전에 양 소소 삼도 알에 땡고는 레드도 레미도 아니 세제 다베 세제다 레바당 소소 따체제 오다 산지게 라바다 티 제고 그래서 야코 까다메 소소 삼도안에 사람 리셔니나 데 템보야 보여래.
And these things, of course, not just doing it because because somebody said it, like Buddha said it, but analyze it yourself. Just like you analyze the gold, by rubbing, cutting, burning, and so forth. You should analyze, on those teachings. And if you feel like it makes sense, it is correct, it makes sense, then you can follow it. And otherwise, there's nobody, setting a rule saying that you have to do it.
Okay. Any questions? Yes, Ed, Mr. Ed.
Thank you, Geshe. Geshe, if one sets out to perform a virtuous, to accumulate merit, whether it's attending a puja or meditating, and after a short while you find yourself figuring out what you have to buy at the grocery store this afternoon, how does that affect the accumulation of merit, and does the distraction itself become a non-virtuous action?
가서
그렇게 말은 소소 다 나다 교화자가 도경하는 다른 배나 최니가 도를 교화자가 도는 남자죠. 이나다 디젤랑 나다 근데 당가 그로스 스토어 도네 또 그로스 체크를 라바 삼바이나 대가라 다데 두자 교화자를 미교차가 가능성.
대도께 말해도 그 개와 가정도 주인이잖아도 개와 못하라. 그러 이게 룩샷 늦었다.
So yeah, that's okay. So if you're saying like, okay, I'm going to go to do this practice, and afterwards I'm going to go and do my grocery, that's fine. That's okay. So, but the practice, the practice part you have done, you did it, and you have already dedicated that. That's you have saved it in your store. But whatever you do afterwards, it's not really related with that, right?
No, what I meant is if the distraction, you're meditating.
Oh,
suddenly while you're meditating, you're on your cushion and you're making a shopping list. How does that affect the actual emeritus?
Yeah, so in that, of course, if you're thinking about that while doing the meditation, then that becomes the distraction.
Yeah.
Then that's not going to, that's going to harm your concentration. So you should not think about that at that time. So don't, like I said before, don't think that I'm not going to think about that, right? Don't think I'm not going to think about the shopping list. Just just focus on your meditation only. So it's like, I'm not going to go and pee, and then you feel like peeing, at that time. So the moment you think that I'm not going to pee, and you feel like, oh, I need to pee. And so just focus, on the, put your mind on the topic of your meditation. Don't think about other things. If you think about other things, whether you're thinking of doing it or not doing it, your mind's gone there already. So your mind is distracted towards that. And so instead of thinking, then don't think about anything else, just think about the practice that you're doing.
Okay, as much as we can. It's not always easy. Just as much as we can.
And also, so this is important, right? You're not thinking, you should not think about the things that you're not going to think. And then also you should not think about the things that you're going to think. And so if instead of thinking about the object that you're supposed to think at the time of meditation, if you think that I'm going to meditate well, then that's not good also. That is also distraction.
So
whatever object that you're focusing on, just put your mind on that only, and then try to make that more stable. So if you say, oh, I'm going to meditate well, and that's also not good. I'm not going to think about all these things. That's also not good. So like if some people, they maybe, like they think, oh, maybe I'm not going to be able to sleep. I don't know whether I'll be able to fall asleep or not. And then that really cause, to not fall asleep well. Instead, then you just, sleep, then you go fall asleep. If you don't think that and then just, lie down, don't think about anything, then you just fall asleep.
Okay.
Thank you, Geshe.
Any other questions? Yes, Mary.
Geshe, I wonder if you have any suggestions what to keep in your mind as you're trying to get rid of objects that have emotional attachment, like things that my mother gave me. I find very hard to give away, even though when she died at 95, this is the image. It's like she had this big china closet filled with this ornate glass. And none of us 6 kids wanted it. And I think about, the impermanent, it's who knows what happened to it. But she had so much attachment, and I do the same thing with things that she has given me. You talk about a closet. I have clothes she gave me, like a sweater from 10 years ago that I haven't worn, but I look at it and I think of her and how much the love she had for me and the love I had for her. Those things are hard, but I have a lot of them. So any suggestions would be helpful.
Yeah, 까린다 어때 밤에 까린다 어때 되는 야 보여래.
안 뒤져다 뭐라든지 참아로 잘했어요. 같이 없었더라.
아 잡아다대 가져. 다들 가지 되나. 다들 갈로다. 다들 미세 쇼스 캠도.
So I mean, it's a good way, to think of that as a kindness, as to remember the kindness of your mother, So like some people keep the things, so yeah, this is given by my mother, and she was so kind to me, and she did this and for me, so I have to repay her kindness. And how I do this is by gaining enlightenment for the benefit of, to benefit her and all sentient beings who have been my mother. Like that, that can lead you to think positive like that. So, I mean, if it's for like that, then of course it's good, to remember. But if it is related with attachment, then I don't know exactly how to say, to get rid of it or to not get rid of it.
제가 먼저 밤에 잘라대 그 잡아 마음이다. 밤에 인자 따치 뭐 이해삼에서나 그 잡아를 자게 뭐라고 이제 밤에 따쳐와도 그 잘라도 따치 뭐래서.
And so like because it is given by your mother and your parents, so sometimes it says, oh, this is very precious because it's given by my mother, not because I'm attached to it, but because it's given by my mother, like that, Then that is not, I don't think that would be like attachment.
오케이. 밤마세대 따치 뭐래서. 제가 되게 잘라대 그 따치 뭐서 매주.
And so of course that depends on individuals, so you will be able to decide, or determine more, whether it is attachment or not, so but if it's to like remember, oh, this is very precious because it was given by my parents, then that's not attachment,
단데 아메치 다 잘라 따치 뭐다. 단데 가라 톱 송삼네 때네 잡아다대 잡아고는 샤기. 다대 야고 말이.
So if it's like, oh, this is a very precious thing from my mother and I got it and I'm going to keep it like that, then that's like, that becomes like attachment, and that's not good. So
Okay. Okay. Then we stop. We're almost over time. Thank you, everyone. I hope you get some benefit, something to you can keep your mind. It's important to know is okay, I learned this today. Okay, I can put into my practice maybe one or two. I think this is important, okay? Like that. Okay.
Saji perki juksing me tuk tram re rabling jini de gyen pa di sangye jingdu mikte uwa dwi drokun nam la jing la chirpa shu je tun la me kutse rabjen jing nam ka trin le chuk chur gye pa dang lo sang ten pedrin me sasungi rowe mun sil tak tu neg yor chig idam guru ratna mandalakam niryatayami. From my two collections, vast is space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time. May I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds' wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold the Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or one spread of decline, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounty as peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time. Even this graded course to enlightenment completed due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes an effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. In that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig remain in life till samsara's end. Savior of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who extensively clarifies the path that unifies emptiness and compassion, to the lotus in the hand, Lord Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be fulfilled. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as a bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Majjhima's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Through this virtue may I swiftly, having gained the Guru Buddha's state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that state. Precious supreme Bodhi mind, may it where unborn arise, and where born never decline, but increase forevermore. Meet, mate, say, waiter, chen, rizik, dream, yen, pei, wang, po, jam, pil, yang, gong, chen, ke, pei, su, gen, Tsongkhapa, lo, sang, drag, pei, Jabla Solwade. Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, Damchula.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, Dr. Quick announcements. Pujas this week on Tuesday at 7 o'clock is Tara Puja, and then on Thursday at 7 o'clock is Guru Puja, and one-on-ones after this.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Enjoy your Sunday.